You know the sensation intimately. A single worry surfaces, seemingly out of nowhere, and before you can process its origin, it multiplies. It becomes a heavy, recurring cycle of regret, anxiety, and worst-case scenarios playing on an endless loop behind your eyes. This relentless repetition is not merely a lack of willpower or a spiritual failing. It is the heavy machinery of your own biology working against you, trapping your consciousness in a dark, familiar corridor. The scientific community calls this rumination, and it thrives within a specific system of your brain known as the default mode network. When your mind wanders, when you are not focused on a specific task, this network hums to life. For many, this default state is not a place of rest, but a breeding ground for negative thought loops. The brain, attempting to protect you, constantly scans for threats, rehearsing past failures and projecting future disasters. Every time you entertain these anxious cycles, you are physically altering the structure of your brain through a phenomenon called neuroplasticity. This is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. When a negative thought repeats, the neural pathway carrying that thought thickens and strengthens. It becomes a paved highway of anxiety, making it easier and faster for your mind to travel down that destructive road the next time a trigger occurs. Yet, ancient biblical wisdom recognized this internal battle millennia before modern imaging could map our neural pathways. The Apostle Paul provided a profound directive in 2 Corinthians 10:5, urging us to cast down imaginations and take every thought captive to the obedience of Christ. This is not a passive suggestion, but a militant command for cognitive intervention. It demands that we stop being silent observers of our mental landscape and become active gatekeepers of our own minds. Taking a thought captive is the precise spiritual countermeasure to the biological trap of rumination. When you actively arrest a spiraling thought, you are essentially hitting the brakes on that well-worn neural highway. You force the brain out of its passive wandering state and demand conscious attention. This deliberate interruption is where the power of the heavy machinery begins to wane and the possibility for genuine transformation takes root. This intentional disruption aligns perfectly with the biblical mandate for the renewing of the mind. Renewal is not a sudden, magical erasure of your past struggles, nor is it a fleeting emotional high. It is a deliberate, daily discipline of choosing truth over fear, even when the fear feels overwhelming. By consistently applying this spiritual discipline, you are not just changing your mood for an afternoon. You are actively engaging in the biological reconstruction of your mental pathways. Left unchecked, those destructive cycles drain your emotional reserves, leaving you exhausted, paralyzed, and disconnected from your divine purpose. The weight of constant worry creates a physiological state of stress, flooding your body with cortisol and keeping your nervous system on high alert. This exhaustion is your body begging for a different way, yearning for the profound peace that comes when the internal noise is finally silenced and your spirit is allowed to breathe. To silence that noise, you must engage the prefrontal cortex, the area of your brain responsible for executive function, complex decision-making, and emotional regulation. This region acts as the wise conductor of the mind, capable of overriding the primitive, fear-driven impulses of the limbic system. When you focus your attention on a specific, purposeful truth, you bring the prefrontal cortex online, effectively dampening the chaotic signals of the default network. Focused meditation on Scripture is the practical method for activating this executive control. When you meditate on a verse like Philippians 4-8, directing your mind toward whatever is true, noble, right, pure, and lovely, you are giving your prefrontal cortex a concrete task. You are providing an alternative destination for your thoughts, redirecting the flow of mental energy away from the well-worn paths of anxiety. In this profound intersection of faith and biology, you shift from being a passive victim of your thoughts to an active participant in your own healing. The realization that you are not permanently bound by your current brain wiring is deeply empowering. The very neuroplasticity that once entrenched your fears now becomes the chosen instrument of your liberation, ready to be shaped by the eternal truth you intentionally choose to dwell upon each day. This ongoing transformation is the essence of sanctification, a lifelong journey of becoming more aligned with the divine nature. Sanctification is rarely instantaneous. It is the gradual, faithful ordering of our inner world. By aligning our thoughts with God's truth, we are participating in a holy renovation. We are clearing out the debris of worldly anxieties to make room for the wisdom and peace of the Spirit. As you repeatedly take negative thoughts captive and replace them with divine truth, the physical landscape of your brain begins to fundamentally change. The old highways of worry, deprived of their daily traffic, slowly begin to weaken and prune away. Simultaneously, new pathways built on peace, trust, and clarity grow stronger, faster, and more efficient. The biological reality of your mind starts to vividly reflect the spiritual reality of your growing faith. There will be days when the old loops try to reassert their dominance with sudden, overwhelming force. You will feel the familiar pull of anxiety, the temptation to slide back into the comfortable rut of worst-case scenarios. This friction is not a sign of failure, nor does it mean your progress has been erased. It is simply the echo of old wiring resisting the new architecture you are painstakingly building. But then comes the moment when a trigger occurs, and instead of spiraling, you pause. You recognize the lie before it takes root, and you consciously choose the path of truth. That space between stimulus and response is the birthplace of cognitive freedom. It is the tangible evidence that the renewing of your mind is not just a theological concept, but a lived biological reality. In those moments of resistance, grace becomes your most vital resource. Grace is the gentle strength that allows you to acknowledge a wandering thought without condemning yourself, and then firmly guide your focus back to truth. This compassionate persistence is essential for maintaining the discipline of mental renewal. You do not conquer the mind through harsh self-criticism, but through the steady, loving application of divine wisdom. As the grip of rumination loosens, a profound physiological calm begins to settle over your nervous system. The constant hum of background anxiety fades, replaced by a deep, sustaining tranquility that surpasses logical understanding. Your body, no longer trapped in a perpetual state of defensive alert, can finally rest. This peace is the emotional harvest of a mind that has been meticulously tended and fiercely protected. With this newfound clarity, your daily life transforms from a defensive posture against perceived threats to an active, joyful pursuit of your calling. You begin to see challenges not as impending disasters, but as unique opportunities for growth and reliance on divine strength. The immense mental energy that was once squandered on endless worry is now completely liberated, available to be poured into your relationships, your meaningful work, and your deepening spiritual journey. This ordered, peaceful mind is a true reflection of the Imago Dei, the image of God within you. God is not a God of confusion, chaos, or paralyzing anxiety, but of perfect order, profound peace, and purposeful design. By taking dominion over your internal landscape, you are fiercely honoring the divine blueprint of your creation. You are restoring the beautiful masterpiece that negative thought loops sought to obscure and destroy. Over months and years, the compounding effect of this positive neuroplasticity is staggering. The default state of your mind gradually shifts from anxious wandering to a quiet, steadfast trust. What once required intense, conscious effort to overcome becomes your new automatic baseline. The pathways of peace become the thickest, most traveled roads in your brain, fundamentally altering how you experience the world. This is why the daily commitment to guarding your thoughts is the most important work you will ever do. It requires vigilance to stand at the doorway of your mind and evaluate every entering idea against the standard of Scripture. It is a lifelong practice of rejecting the toxic and meditating on the pure. The effort is immense, but the reward is a mind that serves as a sanctuary rather than a prison. The brilliant harmony between cutting-edge science and ancient Scripture offers a message of profound, unshakable hope. You are not at the mercy of your biology, nor are you ever abandoned to struggle alone in your spiritual walk. The Creator who designed the intricate, highly adaptable networks of your brain also provided the exact, timeless instructions needed to heal them. The precise tools for your mental and spiritual liberation have been placed directly into your hands. Step forward into the illuminating light of this transformative truth, fully equipped with the knowledge of your own masterful design. The heavy, suffocating chains of recurring negativity can be permanently broken, one captive thought at a time. Your mind is a sacred, resilient space, entirely capable of profound renewal, endless growth, and divine peace. Embrace this lifelong journey of sanctification, knowing that every single choice for truth is a glorious victory that reshapes your brain and restores your soul.